All right, we are live.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. We're gonna wait just a minute or two, but if you are just now seeing us, please welcome to join our short session today.
That last meeting went really well today, by the way.
I think it did. It was very
Yeah.
informative, and can't wait to post it on the members page here once I get the recording
Yeah,
from
that was the
Zoom.
most attendance too. So
No,
that's
it was
nice.
great. No, it was great. Yeah, I'm definitely going to post that one. So,
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
hello everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll wait 30 more seconds and then we will start. Thank you for joining. All right. I think we're ready to start today. Do you want to
Awesome.
open up with the topic for today?
Sure. Yeah, so I think it's what everybody's talking about this week. I don't know that I've seen any other conversation other than the NAR announcement from last week. And so if you've been living under a rock, there's been a lot of lawsuits for the last 6 months or so, or the lawsuits have actually been settled, or judgments and things like that. And so NAR's response to all of these lawsuits about sellers' commissions and things like that is basically that they are starting in July, they're going to remove the requirement for agents to put in the buyer's agent commission into the MLS. So that is because at one point that never existed. And so now to take it away is a really big change, and real estate historically doesn't do change very well, so it's just kind of got everybody on edge. And what does that mean? And am I not going to be able to get paid by if I have a buyer anymore? What does that look like? So we just kind of wanted to talk about how does this affect our program with Global Marketing Agent. And the answer to that is it really doesn't. If anything, it makes our value proposition stronger, right? And so I think that's kind of what I wanted to focus on, because I don't want to sit here and debate what's right or wrong about the decision, because we can't change it and it's still fluid. This may not be the final thing, so there's still going to be a lot of things that are up in the air for a while, and it could take years for it to all finally settle. But the reality is we just need to focus on solutions, and how do we educate ourselves, our buyers, our sellers, so that we can continue on buying and selling houses, and because the market will continue to exist. People still need housing, and we still have a massive housing shortage. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think I mean, you've hit the nail right on the head. I mean, it's it's not about us kind of debating, or like you said, or personal opinions and how it all works. I do agree with you 100% that the global marketing agent value proposition is only going um, to help the agents kind of stand out, what I call outside the box kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and make you different than the competitors, right? I personally think that yes, a lot of agents will get out of the business, but essentially, I personally don't think it's a bad thing. I
Yeah.
think it's to the advantage of the ones that are willing and able to adapt, right, to the changes, and and shift with whatever is shifting our way. I think this is definitely not the end of the world. People are still going to be making great money in real estate and have everything they want. Now on the seller side, our value proposition to co-market, and again, I want to state this because we don't set any of the fees. We just kind of, we train people, we educate them, and then we just kind of show them different fee structures to, again, entice the seller into what we call a co-marketing situation with other agents in the network, kind of looking at real estate migration patterns as to where the buyers are coming from. And so the seller really, there's nothing that has changed there. Now on the buyer's side, that's something again that is not going to be up to us. And so there's a lot of things changing, but like you mentioned, things could take years until they develop into what needs to happen. I know July is kind of the date, right, that they've mentioned as to when they're going to make a decision. Yeah. So
that's for the MLS change. And
yeah.
I know for a lot of brokerages, or I think this is everywhere, but they're requiring a buyer's representation agreement. That is only good. You should have been doing that already, right? And so one of our members this morning was on a different meeting with me, and she was saying that she was talking to an agent from Kentucky who's been in the business for 40 years. And he's like, I've never used one of those. I don't, this is going to break me. Like, all because he doesn't know how to negotiate it or how to explain it or how to overcome the objections. And that's really what all this boils down to, is you just have to sharpen your tools, and you have to be able to explain the fees to a buyer or a seller. And it doesn't mean that the seller cannot pay the buyer's commission. We just can't list it in MLS anymore. So that removes the whole, well, I don't want to show this house because they're only offering 1%. And so I'm not going to get paid as a buyer's agent. It removes that, but now it's a whole different thing. And so the seller can offer concessions instead, and that's fine. And all of that comes out in the wash anyway, right? The buyer's paying the price. And so as long as we're appraising, and all of those things are already built into all of this in the first place. So it's really just an educational and negotiation skill set that you're going to have to go deeper in to be able to justify your value and explain why buyers still need representation. They should not go to a listing agent because they're not going to get the fair representation that they deserve. And so it's good from that standpoint. And then it's good for the seller, because I heard this morning too, was, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, yeah, you can choose to not pay, not to give a 3% concession for the buyer's agent. Just know that that's going to create more roadblocks to selling your home. And so how quickly do you want to sell? And are you needing to sell? Because the more roadblocks that are in the way, the longer that takes, and the longer the process is going to be for you. So how motivated are they? And, there's plenty of ways to overcome those objections of, oh, I don't want to pay. Because if they don't pay up front, guess what? It's going to take that much longer to find a buyer. So they're going to be doing price drops anyway, which are going to be far more than whatever the commission would have been. So it's about educating them on the front end and knowing your value and your worth. And all a global marketing agent does is make your worth and your value even more. So
absolutely.
Now instead of asking for 7%, maybe you're only asking for 4% because you're just worried about the listing fees at this point. Yeah. And so it changes that part, but it's still a negotiation conversation. It's still how do I handle the objections and explain the value of why GMA sets me apart, in that I have, access to the entire network. And I love what you said this morning. Say this again, the proactive versus reactive. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So I again, I've been in this business for over 20 years now. And I think that as agents, and I've seen the good and the bad right over the year, like hot and cold, obviously 08 and 09. And I've always believed that agents are very reactive to their marketing and to having a listing in general, to where, just kind of putting it in the MLS, put a sign in the yard, and then just kind of, again, wait for the phone to ring. And the GMA value proposition is far more proactive. Right. It's kind of going deeper and scratching the surface a little bit to say, okay, I live in Arizona, and so, let me try to figure out where the buyers are coming from. And then just kind of use the global marketing agent system, the agreements, the training, the support, to kind of educate you on how you can create your army of agents wherever, again, these buyers are coming from.
Mhm.
And so to me, that's very proactive. I think today, again, a lot of the agents are depending too much on, because my company is global, or because, we're in 100 countries or 40 countries, that, I'm going to automatically beat my competitors just because we've got this global brand. And that's not the case at all. I think that, any independent agent, as far as a brokerage, having the global marketing agent value proposition will beat any of these competitors on a global brand scale.
Yeah,
And
if
yeah,
anything, MLS, and syndication, IDX, all of those things,
sure.
it made everybody lazy because they think that the internet or social media is going to sell for them,
Yeah, it
and that
doesn't.
buyers just magically appear. And, and that's not always the case, especially for luxury agents, for luxury listings. You have to have a proactive marketing strategy to
Sure.
find that right buyer. And so GMA exponentially increases the chances of finding that person, because we do have the army of agents that are proactively sharing that to their databases. And it's not I'm just going to sit and wait for someone to show up. So
No,
it's night and day,
yeah, yeah,
completely night and day.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to give a listing to, let's say I'm in Dallas, and to give it to someone else who lives somewhere else, is a golden opportunity for that agent to take that listing, to literally stick it on their forehead and walk everywhere they can, to their sphere of influence. I don't care, go to everywhere and anywhere, and to say, hey, and gloat about it. I've got a listing in Dallas, or I've got a listing
Right.
in Mexico, I've got a listing in France. Now on the buyer situation with and the fees and everything on the international level, I mean, this NAR thing does not mean a thing,
Right.
because that just nothing. And so
Yeah.
that's the thing, to where, again, if you're watching this as an agent and you're thinking, okay, is this going to affect me or not? And, how can I, make up for some of the money that maybe you think is going to not be there at the end of the day? Well, here it is. International real estate transaction is a thing. It
Right.
happens every day. Yes, you get paid. Yes, it's legal. Don't entirely believe your broker who's telling you that, don't do this because you're going to waste your time. You don't have the agreement to secure the connection and the relationship between you and the seller and and all the other pieces. This is happening every day. People are buying real estate all over the world every day. If you don't
And
know it,
now more than ever.
yeah,
Now more than
and,
ever. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
And
easier to.
yesterday, I was at a little real estate convention here in Dallas, Texas, and there was a woman, a realtor, that was on one of the Zooms that I had done 2 weeks ago. And I told them 2 weeks ago, I said, go on your social media and write this. I said, dear friends and family, out of all of you here on Facebook or LinkedIn, who owns a home outside of, I believe she's from San Antonio. And so she says, who owns a home outside of San Antonio? I saw her yesterday. She came up. I didn't recognize her. We're not going to tell her that, but came up to me and said, Olivier, wouldn't you believe it that 8 of my dearest friends own homes outside of not only Texas, but America? And they never called me as a buyer, right, to
Right.
go to other places. And I said, her name was Lisa. I said, listen, Lisa, this is what I've been preaching for years. If you don't educate your sphere of influence, your buyers, right, that they can buy, with you, or they can sell with you anywhere around the world, you're going to lose a lot of dollars at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so to her, it was a wake-up call. She is going to join Global Marketing Agent, which is great. And so, yeah, so, this whole thing, I see here a question from someone that says, what myth have you heard about this settlement? I mean, I think we've covered it.
What myth?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I think the biggest myth is just that commissions are going to disappear, right? Like that is, I think, the overwhelming fear is that commissions are going away for half of the transactions because the sellers are not going to want to pay that. I totally think that's not true. I think that's fear mongering and coming from a place of fear. And that is where everyone is going to, it's going to make or break. And like you said before, I think it's going to call the herd, right? There are a lot of agents, and it's it's too easy to become an agent, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will be a good thing in the sense of the ones who shouldn't be here in the first place and are not capable and are not, representing their people well and not educating themselves and staying on top of things, then they will be gone, and that will create more transactions for the ones that are still here. So even if you were to have sellers that refused and buyers couldn't afford it or whatever, you're gonna see your transaction volume go up because there's gonna be less.
Yeah.
They can't get over it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think as any professional, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, the education process with any of your clients and the customer service and the hand holding is by far and beyond all of this conversation, to where people are fearing, oh my God, I think that if you do your job, like you said, you do it right, you're a professional, here's another thing, realtors that are watching this. Why do realtors never answer their phone? I mean, seriously, like, I just don't get it. Like, you're in a business of customer service. Imagine that you want to order something from somewhere and they're not answering the phone. Like, I think realtors have to, again, that's my opinion on that one. But again, it's about bringing value to who you are as a professional, right? And if you bring that value, if you're consistent with it, your buyers are not going to have a problem with the situation to sign all the documentation that needs to be signed on the representation part of it. And that's not going to be an issue at all. I don't see it that. I think that the shift is going to shift some things, but like you said, I think that a lot of agents need a kind of a kick in the butt, and just
yeah,
absolutely. This is a wake-up call for a lot of people who got lazy, and so here's your opportunity. Bring the value to your clients on the selling and the buying. Definitely Global Marketing Agent does that. Just having extra education on top of it, whatever it is, if it's Global Marketing Agent, if it's any other education, is going to show your clients on the buying or selling side that you are a professional and you're taking this business very seriously.
Yeah, and I think it will even set apart for clients easier to understand. You get what you pay for. And so before you were paying for, the brand new agent who doesn't know anything, or even the seasoned agent who hasn't changed their standards or education in 40 years, you're paying them the same as the one who is proactively marketing, has all the designations, all the certifications, all the education, and is a badass agent, right?
Yeah.
They're getting paid the same amount no matter what. So now it's like, oh no, I want to pay for the best of the best. I want that 5-star agent. I want the best value. And so if anything else, it's going to make it a lot easier for those people, for those agents.
Yeah.
And Global Marketing Agent fits in perfect with that, because it's just one more way to set yourself apart. And above
it just like any industry, if you're a professional, if you've got education, do I want to go to a doctor that goes to, that has all the right certifications and diplomas, or do I want to go to someone that just got it yesterday, right? So
or they barely passed, and
correct.
Versus the one that passed with flying colors. Yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah, so I think everything is going to be okay at the end of the day. I think that's the message to me. I think that also as a society in the world we're in, we are too quick into reading headlines and making our own opinions from the headline. It's just the headline. Read the article, understand the sides and where it's coming from. I think that's where it's at. I think people are freaking out too much right now in this kind of. I think, they need to just calm down a little bit, just get educated about what's going on, understanding how to navigate around it, and create, like you said, a stronger value proposition on the buying and on the selling for people to go, I don't mind paying you because you're doing X, Y, and Z for me. And this is what you do for a living, period. So.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I want to throw out there, and I haven't had this thought yet, but is really, it's kind of like, it's not going away, right? I think a lot of people assumed that we would never get here. This would never happen. The lawsuits would be in our favor, all of these things. And at this point, it's not final, but it's not going away. So the changes, there are going to be changes. And if that's too much for you to handle and you're too afraid to learn or to find new solutions and do something differently, then yeah, you should get out now. Just go
Sure.
ahead, exit
Yeah.
stage left, because it's not going anywhere. It may take a few years, but it's going to happen. And the change is necessary, and it's always for the good in the long run. So
Sure.
I think that that's the other thing is you've got two groups of you're either freaking out over the headlines and fear, and react, or there's the ones that are sticking their head in the sand and going, I don't want to talk about it. I can't handle this.
Yeah.
And if that's you, then just go ahead and exit, because it's not going anywhere. Like, this is happening. We're here. So
No, it is. But again, it is, but it's not the end of the world. I think everything's going to be fine. I think that, again, is just your toolbox as an agent is just going to have to grow with the situation.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, this is, again, why Global Marketing Agent, has stood the time of this. We've been around since 18 years now, from good economy to bad to good to where we are today. And so if you're watching this, I really encourage you to kind of look into and reach out to us and get more information on how this can really help you in every part, the buying, the selling, and then also to make extra money, right?
Yeah.
Into a niche that you never thought would be possible. And I don't care if you live, again, in Biloxi, Mississippi. Like, not that there's anything wrong with Biloxi, Mississippi, but you know what I'm saying? It just, I mean, you don't have to live in Miami, Florida to learn on how to deal with international real estate transaction. And again, if you don't believe it's happening every day, I promise you it is. It really is. And there's a process that needs to happen for people to know that you're doing them, number one, to trust you, and to understand that you're going to hold their hand through the process, because that's also what we do as GMA. As an agent, the first day that you are doing a transaction that is outside of your jurisdiction, we're there to help you. And we're not a referral company. We're just here to train and support. So,
awesome.
Great.
Well, thanks for hanging out again. Good to see you.
No worries. Yes, same here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Yes, have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.